Hello, I'm Sarah at Coyote Tarot, and this is my VR to hashtag deck FOMO. I originally saw this on Exploring Tarot's channel with Sandy, and she had mentioned that the original creator is April at Tarot and Witchery. So just want to shout out to both of those accounts, specifically April at Tarot and Witchery for coming up with this hashtag, because I think it's a good one. This is one that really kind of makes you think. I have notes that I have made on my thoughts because I really had to sit down and think about my answers to this. And I think it's important that we all kind of do this. We all kind of take that time to recognize what is coming up in us when we purchase a deck without really taking the time to think about it or see if it checks the boxes that we might need it to check, whatever the case may be. So jumping right into it, the first question is, what triggers deck FOMO for you? And for me, there's a lot. There's a lot of it. It's not necessarily like Kickstarters and limited editions. That kind of doesn't really do it for me. Thank God, because I'd be in a lot of trouble if it did. But I guess it kind of did with the Trionfi della Luna illustrated pips. Only 500 of those were made. I think 500 of each color edition, like the paradoxical. I think there's 500 of that. I think there's 500 of the original, so I'm not sure. But I did kind of like the idea of being only one of 500 people that had that, but that's been the only deck that did that. Everything else, like, I'm not a huge Kickstarter deck person. I do kind of circle back to that in a couple questions, but it's not so much the limited editions that do that for me. It's more, I love the artwork. I am really drawn in by artwork. And I watched someone else, I cannot remember for the life of me whose channel it was. It was a while ago. She was doing a declutter and she said she had purchased a deck specifically for the artwork and then she's never used it. And what she had said was she needs to learn to appreciate the artwork without thinking, I need to own this, I need to buy this. And same. And that has helped me in a couple of decks and in not purchasing a couple of decks. So shout out to whoever said that. Thank you for that, because it's helped me. Another thing is does it fit a niche for me? Like, I find myself getting really caught up in the, oh, I can use that deck for shadow work, or I really like the idea of using that deck in the winter because I don't have a lot of winter decks, so that'll be the deck I use in the winter. Or this can be the deck that I carry around in my purse with me all the time because it's small. Or, you know, this will be the deck I use when I'm like feeling really happy. I find excuses to fit decks into certain niches when thinking about buying them. Another thing is will my friends like it? So I have mentioned in the past that I do private YouTube videos for my friends that are pick a card videos. And a lot of times I will buy a deck because my friends will like it more. So a perfect example of this, and I don't have the box out, is the Dog's Tarot by Llewellyn. I don't have a dog. I love dogs. I like them. Do I need a dog deck? No. But I bought it because a lot of my friends who watch these videos have dogs. And I was like, they will resonate with this. They will love this. They will really relate to this. Is better than resonate. They will relate to this. So I bought it. And then I was like, well, I need a cat one because I need to offset the dogs with the cats. I did not buy a cat deck. Gold star for me. So that's something that I kind of do as well. Another thing I do is I want to support artists from my country. I love supporting Canadian artists, and if a deck is made by a Canadian creator, I find I'm just like, buy it. That's not necessarily FOMO. I feel like that's a different issue. I don't know, maybe it is FOMO, but I don't feel that it is really. I think it's just more of like a control problem. Yeah, so those are the kind of things. My friends will like it. Fitting a niche, artwork, supporting local artists or artists from my country. I feel like artwork is probably the biggest one. Next question. What is a FOMO deck purchase you regret? So this one kind of makes me a little bit sad because it's brand new. It's like a month old, a little more than a month old for me, but it's the Trionfi della Luna. And saying that I regret it is a bit harsh in my opinion, because I don't regret it. But did I need this? No. The art style is not me at all. I did not need to buy the Trionfi della Luna illustrated pips. I did not need this, but I bought it. I was very, very curious about what the illustrated pips would be. I am not a pip deck person, so this deck was never even on my radar before this version came out. This version came out and I was like, I'm doing it. Again, I don't regret it because I do enjoy it. I do like it. However, this is not on the top of my favorites list. I did not need this. So if I had to say one I regret, it would be the Trionfi della Luna illustrated pips. Now, I don't know if this is cheating because this is an oracle deck, but the Earthcraft Oracle, this is another one I regret. Now, I have used this. It's not that I haven't used it, but I came across this deck because I purchased the Samhain Oracle by Juliet Diaz and Lorraine Anderson. The artist is a different individual than the artist on this one. This one is Danielle Boudou Fortune. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And the other artist, her name is on the tip of my tongue and I just can't place it. So when I purchased the Samhain Oracle, I knew that they were coming out with another version. It just hadn't been created yet, whatever. And then I saw pre-orders for this and I saw the artists' names and I automatically assumed this was the next one. There was no pictures at the time, nothing, and I pre-ordered it. I did kind of realize down the line that it was different. I think when the pictures started to come out, I realized it was a different deck completely. But I stuck with it because I really do like Juliet Diaz and Lorraine Anderson. So I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll like their deck, this other deck as well. But I do regret purchasing this. It's actually in my purgatory bin right now. So that's an oracle deck. I don't know if that's cheating. Next question. How do you set limits? So one kind of like rule for myself that I've had for a while is, this is not working for me. It's one tarot deck and one oracle deck purchase per month. The reason I'm saying it's not working, it's not that I've gone over that rule. It's just that's too much. That's still too much. So right now, if I make it a month without purchasing a deck, I'm so proud of myself with any deck, oracle or tarot. But that's not working. Another thing I have started doing is asking myself if I already have a deck that is similar to that, and that has worked for me. So one deck, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Cosmic Tarot or something along those lines. Love it. I love the artwork. It is super cute, super adorable. But for me, I was like, it really kind of looks like the This Might Hurt Tarot, and I own that. So I don't need this Cosmic Tarot. And I was really proud of myself for being able to put my foot down and keep it down about that. And that has come up a couple times. So that's really helped me. Another thing I might do in the future is take a social media break, because seeing all of these decks online, that I'm a sucker for that. I will go buy a deck if I see it online and I like it. So maybe taking a social media break. Unfortunately, I've had some like Facebook events that I have been the organizer of lately, and there's some photos coming up from an event that I was in that I want to be able to see from Facebook. So right now is maybe not the time, but in the future, like a month break or a three week break from social media, sure, I feel like that will work for me. And question number 4, how many decks do you have? All right, so we're including everything, oracle decks, everything, including like those little rock pool oracle decks. It's 40. And that's not 40 plus 2 Lenormand. And I have 2 Kickstarters on the way. So if you're including those, that's 44. It's not including everything I have in my purgatory bin. So in my purgatory bin, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. 5 in my purgatory bin, which I am getting rid of. They've been in the bin for a bit. I'm okay with getting rid of them. So I will be getting rid of 5. So we'll say 42, including my Lenormand, plus 2 on the way. So 44. So that's 21 tarot, 19 oracle, 2 Lenormand, and 2 Kickstarters. The Kickstarters I have coming, one is a tarot deck and one is a Lenormand deck. The Lenormand deck is a Canadian creator, and the tarot deck is the Schitt's Creek Tarot. I am very excited for that. That's also something that triggers FOMO for me, I guess. I didn't include it in the first one, but if it's something that I like the Friends Tarot, I'm obsessed with Friends. I love Friends, and I don't regret that purchase. I also don't think I'm going to regret the Schitt's Creek Tarot. They haven't completed it, so you haven't been able to see all of the cards, unfortunately, but the cards that I have seen, very well done. Very well done. So I don't think I'm going to regret that. We'll find out. Time will tell. Okay. Question number 5. How many decks do you need? This is a tough question because, I mean, if we're talking tarot, you really only need 1. But oracle decks, there's so many different ones. Like I'm going through my mental list of my oracle decks and what each one of them does for me. And I use the oracle decks especially for specific purposes. But I also use the tarot decks for like different ones at different times of year. Like I like having the Halloween season tarot decks. I like having like bright, colorful ones for summer. I don't know. Ooh. So I think I settled on 4 oracle, 6 tarot, and like 2 Lenormand. So like 12. Again, that seems like a lot, but that's a significant cut from the 44 that I have. So there you go. Okay. Question number 6, what is a positive deck purchase from FOMO? Okay. So this one is still kind of up in the air because there's a purchase that I made, and I talked about it in my previous video with my May things. It's the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. This one, I purchased it because there were rumors that it was going to be discontinued. And I wanted a vampire deck. This one wouldn't have been my first choice. As I mentioned in my previous video, it would have been the Baba Studios Bohemian Gothic, which is out of print currently. And I don't know when they are doing another edition, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So I thought in the meantime, this could fill that void, but also I bought it for the book. It was not just the deck, not just the whole vampire theme. I've heard phenomenal things about this book. So I bought it. And probably like the next day I started to have like buyer's remorse. And I was like, why did I do that? I don't need this. Why did I do it? And I actually think that this deck is going to be a staple. I especially think the book is going to be a staple once I start diving into it. I watched Lisa Pepe's live walkthrough of this deck and book, and I really think it's going to be a good purchase. Now, that's a guess. If I had to say officially right now what deck was a positive outcome from FOMO, it's the HP Tarot, which I keep in this bag. So this one, I love Harry Potter. In case you can't tell, there's our snitch back there. So this was something that I kind of worried was going to go out of print. The creator hasn't really been active on social media since I think like mid-December. So I kind of started to think maybe this was going to be out of print. Maybe they had rights issues, like trademark issues. I don't know. So here's the backs of this guy, in case you're not familiar with it. One of the reasons why I didn't want to buy this deck was because it's black and white. I don't own a black and white deck. I'm a big color person. And this is not that, but I bought it. Again, I panicked thinking it might be out of print. I do love the imagery and the art style on this deck. So it's not that I don't like the art, it's just I'm not a huge black and white deck person. So with this, with using it, and I've kind of done my own little deck study of it, I love this deck. I absolutely love it. It's been so fun for me to use and to see all the cards and flip them over and know the story of what's happening in the card. Same with the Friends tarot deck. It's very, very similar. This one was, however, very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. Probably the most expensive deck I own. So that was a bit of a risk that I took, especially at the time when I purchased it, knowing that a black and white deck was not for me. But it paid off, and I am so happy I own this deck. Absolutely grateful to my expensive purchase in that department. So that's one I will definitely not be getting rid of. And last question. Number 7, what are your thoughts on the current state of deck FOMO in our community? So I did want to kind of preface this by saying I do not think this is just a tarot community issue. I don't think that's what the question is implying either, but it's actually kind of really frustrating to me to see the number of emails I get, even text messages, BOGO, or spend this, get X percentage off, but like you have to spend $100 and some odd to get 20% off. Like the consumerism, emails and text messages and propaganda that's coming out is over the top. It is too much right now. It makes me so mad when I get these emails that are trying to get people to spend money. I get it. I get why companies are doing it, but it is over the top. It's a little much. So I think that there's a huge consumerism boom happening right now. That being said, I do think with the cost of everything these days, I think that's kind of starting to go down a little bit. And I also think that within the tarot community, as the question is actually asking, I also think that it is starting to kind of go down. I think people are starting to be a little bit more mindful of their purchases. You're also seeing a lot more purging videos. So I definitely think that things are starting to slow down in the tarot community, as well as every other community. So again, the ads, the emails. I also think that Instagram is causing, not necessarily Instagram, even YouTube, TikTok, because I know I've purchased some decks because of TikTok, one deck because of TikTok. It's right here, so I might as well get it while I'm talking. So I think it's very, very easy to see these people using decks, these people advertising decks on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and it makes you want it. So the Saint Soleil tarot deck is the one that I purchased because of TikTok. There's a creator on TikTok that I follow that I really enjoy, and she was using this deck. Now this deck, I did do a good thing when I purchased this deck. I got rid of a deck that was similar to this one. It was a deal I made with myself. I'm going to get rid of it. It was the Tarot of Oppositions. It's in my purgatory basket. So I decided to get rid of it to replace with this. It's funny, we're talking about consumerism. I feel like I'm advertising. I just fully advertised a deck to you guys. But that was the one that was on TikTok that TikTok made me buy. So yeah, and that's where my social media break is coming in, because I am a sucker for things like that. I see decks that I like on social media platforms and I go for it. So the self-control thing, I'm working on it. I am getting there slowly. But yeah, I think for me, a social media break might eliminate some of those, because everywhere you turn, there's amazing things on social media, on Instagram especially, probably YouTube next, and then TikTok for me. So yeah, I think And I'm not saying I think creators need to be mindful of the content that they're putting out there. I love watching unboxings. There's been a number of unboxings that I have watched that I have not purchased the deck. And a lot of unboxings have helped me not purchase a deck. I thought I wanted it. I watched an unboxing, realized I did not. And probably more often that's the scenario than making me buy it. So I'm not saying I don't want to see that content. I love that content, especially on Instagram when people do their aesthetic posts with their decks and stuff. I love seeing it. I love seeing people's creative posts and how aesthetically pleasing they can make something. But I have to reel myself in a little bit when I see those and start to get that want mentality. I want that. So I think it is starting to answer the question. I think it is starting to go down a little bit. But I think it's always going to be there with everything, not just the tarot community. I think it's going to be there with everything. And I think people need to be more mindful and practice self-control and have a little bit more willpower. And I think it's happening. I think people are starting to reel it in. Another point I wanted to make was during the pandemic, I think that purchasing in general did kind of skyrocket because we were in lockdown. There was nothing to do, and people were kind of going on Amazon and stuff like that to buy everyday essentials as well, because going out maybe wasn't your jam at the time. You weren't really comfortable going out. So I think maybe once you were on Amazon, you kind of also saw some other things. Again, Amazon sending ads to you, Amazon's having their deal of the day, whatever. And for me, as much as I hate admitting this, having something come to me in the mail was something to look forward to. I had nothing else going on. Nothing. I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't going anywhere. I was working from home, fully remotely working from home. A lot of changes happened and it was very boring. And having something come in the mail gave some excitement. I do not think I'm the only one in that boat. Like I said, I don't love admitting it. But I definitely think there were a lot of other people coping in that way as well. But, lessons were learned. It was my first lockdown and I learned some lessons. Don't do that if there's a next time. Let's hope there's not a next time. Oh gosh. I'm gonna knock on wood. So yeah, I think that was also a big contributing factor to a lot of these deck purchases and a lot of spending in general was the pandemic and being in lockdown and giving it something to look forward to, giving yourself something to look forward to, getting something in the mail, a nice package, and sometimes not even necessarily knowing what that package was and getting that excitement, like, what is it? Which one came today? What's it going to be today? So yeah, that's what I think. I do think that people are becoming more mindful. I definitely think it's going to take a little dive. I also think that there's a lot of creators coming out with brilliant decks, these beautiful ideas and, specific things that fit specific people. I don't know, let's use the example of like a unicorn deck. Unicorn decks coming out and people who love unicorns, like that's something that specific people would feel they have to have. The Schitt's Creek tarot deck, fans of Schitt's Creek, that's something they feel they have to have. So the more and more stuff like this that starts to come out, the more and more people feel they're going to want it because that's something they can relate to, or they are a fan of that, or that's right up their alley, however you want to call it. So, I do think people have to be more mindful, but, maybe you bring a deck in, you take a deck out rule is helpful. For me, that's it's a little much. It's a little sad to think every time I buy a new one, I have to get rid of one. But I am also trying to be super mindful, especially this year and hopefully going forward. So, and I think a lot of us are as well. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. So that is my hashtag deck FOMO VR. I am really enjoying seeing other people's responses to this, as I do every VR. But this was a good one. So thank you, Tarot and Witchery, for coming up with this, because I do think it's a topic of discussion that is becoming more prominent, but should also not be shied away from. I think people need to open up to this. And Tarot and Witchery did say that this should be fun. It was fun, but I think it's also nice to vocalize our thoughts on this, and maybe it'll help us be more accountable. If you're putting it out there to the tarot tube world, it'll help you be more accountable. Maybe. We'll see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.